dominant around the world was all into decline because that same format evolved, was now distributing movies. And you had things like Blockbuster and those things that are no longer there. But that was over literally, 8 years.
It's unbelievable. Well, let's be honest. Nobody wants to rewind a VHS tape, right?
Yeah, yeah.
We bought rewinders because we didn't want to do it.
Right. Yeah, and as that technology obliterated technologies that were out there, so was downloading the internet done that to the disc.
So, in your opinion, because things are moving faster now, and you've been through really some of the biggest jumps, how fast does one, as an individual, have to consider their own personal growth and development to keep up with what's happening in this day and age?
Yeah, I think you've got to have an eye to your own personal development all the time, right? So we're talking technology development here, but certainly I think it was sort of like mid-90s where, for me, the opportunity came along to buy the business. Mm-hmm. And I had never owned a business before. I'd owned a paper round, right? So here we are looking at this business that we had grown, and we had the opportunity as a management team to buy it off the then owners. Mm-hmm. And that was my first sort of foray into dealing with Wall Street. So we had people from Wall Street come in and say, look, we'll work with you to buy the business with you. And hell, if we didn't pull it off. We worked with a New York bank called DLJ, one of their first investments in the private equity world. All those guys are still around industries now. Yeah. Yes, which is ironic. And we bought the business and then subsequently took it public on the Nasdaq stock market. Mm-hmm. So again, that was an evolution of my role. Yeah, where I'd gone and, from this guy with a evangelist mindset, going to dinners and telling everybody this is going to be the next big thing, to now a guy heading up a buyout of this company and putting an IPO together.
I think that's an interesting comparison, because a lot of times we look at that person putting the IPO together and making those big deals, where somewhere deep down is that personality, the guy that you might see out on the showroom floor pushing something that's new. Yeah. I mean, I think we all have it in us to be that person when it's called to be.
Well, some people do. I don't know if we all, some people wither under that pressure, right? Mm-hmm. Other people excel. And,
yeah, good point.
I think some people take that chance, even if you fail. Some people don't want to take the chance in case they fail. Mm-hmm. So it might be in us, whether it's natural that one takes a chance to go and do those out there things. I'm not sure everybody's up for that.
Yeah, you make a very good point. And maybe that goes back to your athletic determination.
Yeah, could be. It's just, yeah.
You've probably taken some pretty hard hits over your career. Is there anything that stands out that you took a fall but you had to recover from it?
Yeah, lots of things on the way. I think certainly things that you thought would be successful don't quite be successful. Mm-hmm. Chances you took didn't quite work out there, and in some cases downright failed. I bought companies that I thought were going to do things for us that they ultimately didn't. And you look back, I should have seen that. In a way, I think it's like, again, certain sporting environments into business. I think quite often you learn more from making a mistake than you actually do from your successes. When you're successful, you don't really sanity check yourself and look at why it was a success. You move on to the next thing. When you fail, you really check yourself. Yeah. What did I do wrong there? Could I have done something better? And I think you do that more out of a failure. You do that more out of a lost game than a game you won.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Your coach, when you had a game and won, your coach isn't really doing that much with you because you just won a good game. But when you lose, they're analyzing where the mistakes were made and why the mistakes were made and what are you going to do to stop that happening next week. I think business is just like that as well. Sure.
Do you allow people to disappoint you, or do you move on and past that?
Oh boy, I know you have to ask them that. Yeah, I'm not a big, I'm not a big joyful guy in a failure,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of who fails. You know, we're all in a boat. We're all going the right direction. So if one fails, we all fail. So
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, I'm not a guy that shrugs off failure and just moves on. I take it, you know, want to really understand why we made a failure. That said, I do realize if you don't allow people the platform to go out on the edge, they won't. So for me, I think you've got to create an environment, particularly in business, where people will take that chance.
Yeah.
And hopefully it's a calculated chance, and hopefully you're with them in making that calculation. And then I think you gotta forfeit the fact that something failed with the fact that you created an environment for somebody to go and take that risk, because the next risk they take could well deliver.
Yeah, sure.
And if you kill them, or if you kill anybody that takes a risk because it's not successful, they're not going to take the next one.
Yeah.
So you got to balance that, creating an environment where people do go on the edge of it, not recklessly though. I don't think you bet the farm on reckless bets. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
But I do think you've got to create an environment in business where you have the best people around you, and you encourage them to move out a bit on the gangplank and go make a difference and go and do something that perhaps somebody else is not doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, outside of the tech industry, or where you spent many years, what moved you through life, and where did you go past there?
So I had a great time working with this company Nimbus and taking it public, and we merged it with a company called Technicolor that did very well in the movie business and things. I decided then to jump and went to Seattle to work for Microsoft for 6 years, which was sort of 2001 to 2006, 2007. Great time, big organization, doing a lot of cool things actually. You know, Xbox was come out of that period. Windows Office was all evolving. You know, Microsoft was trying to create all sorts of divisions, Microsoft TV, and you know, a new gaming platform and Xbox and everything that was associated with that. So it was 6 years for me where I was working in various, you know, senior positions, doing some pretty cool stuff in a pretty cool organization. So you know, Microsoft, you know, not unlike where we came from, Microsoft were never worried about getting out there and taking a chance on something.
Yeah, sure.
You know, they were in for big bets. They were in for, you know, trying to develop technologies, and you know, you can read all the books on what they did well and what perhaps they didn't. But there was never a not go and do attitude. It was always let's go and try and do something. So a good 6 years there, and then obviously that's I came from there and had this amazing transition from, you know, being a career in tech to Pelican.
Yeah, yeah. I got to tell you, you know, about this brand, and clearly, as I mentioned before this show, it just seems like it's almost that trophy piece in some of these stores that feature your product. It wasn't on my radar. But you have an employee that sells your product for you. His name is DeLon Cummings, and he's been with you maybe a year. But I went to high school with him. And it's not how this interview happened either, but he was so passionate about his new job here and the product. And at the time, I was running my tequila company. And, you know, a good salesman, and this is a testament to, I'm sure, your leadership and what you have here, because I want to hear more about that. But he shows up at my tequila office with a case and wants to tell me how it's going to work for our salespeople to put our bottles in there and showcase them. So I was very impressed with that and his passion for the brand. So here you are at the helm. Tell us about Pelican, because I'm just fascinated with where you guys are going and your products in general.
Yeah. Well, it was a very interesting time for me because I got a call to come and consider coming to Pelican at a time when there was quite a lot of other calls going on with pretty high-profile companies and high-profile jobs. And the people I knew had just purchased Pelican. Mm-hmm. So this is Berman Capital out of New York. And they said, you've got to come and check this company out. It's been built by this guy, Dave Parker. He's done an amazing job. He's got a platform for growing. And I said, well, what does it do? He said, protective cases. Well, if you can think of that departure from what I've done all my life now to do. So I came down and looked at it, and believe it or not, whilst it wasn't high-tech, the characteristics of this business were phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Its products were great. The culture was great. Where we could take this company had all sorts of opportunity. And the guy had built a very, very, good culture already.
Mm-hmm.
And he had certainly built this authentic product line. It was the premium protective case in the world, bar none. It had a name that was recognized, whether you're in the film business or in the military or in the industrial maintenance worker, you knew Pelican.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was the brand that everybody knew. So you had a guy that had built all that, was looking to retire, and then I came in with all these characteristics of building more. So I came on board, and we accelerated the number of products, but keeping that authentic, DNA of protection
Mm-hmm.
in the products. So we accelerated what we did. We started to acquire some companies that further accelerated our goal of growing, whether that be geographic or whether that be a product line, whether that be a competitor.
Right.
We really exploded Pelican both organically in how we were growing our products, but also, I think we acquired 6 companies.
Wow.
Over that time. We're batting 6 for 6 in their success with Pelican.
Mm-hmm.
They all provided certain expansions, certain dynamics to Pelican that succeeded in us wanting to do something through them. The best example of that would be, we really seen an opportunity in taking our cases and moving them to the pharmaceutical business and temperature control packaging and temperature control transportation. Mm-hmm. It was going to be very difficult for Pelican to do that organically. The customers that you needed, the technology you needed. So we went out and acquired 2 of the best companies in that sector. We've merged them together, and they have like the widest range of products today, the best customers. We're global with all our customers. It's just been a phenomenal success story in how we have taken a goal of expanding into new areas and really done a good job of penetrating that market.
Yeah. I was fascinated by your website because I've known you for your coolers and your cases. But I looked at your website, and you've got backpacks and computer carry cases and your micro cases. I mean, I don't want to say the list goes on because everything seems very high quality and of the same standard. But where does it stop, and how far do you go in the industry with what you're providing?
Well, it never stops.
Right.
If anything, it accelerates, and we're looking to expand what we do at an even more accelerated rate. So, we've become this big company, frankly, but we haven't lost any of our drive to go and do the next best thing. Mm-hmm. We haven't changed the atmosphere where people are frightened to take a chance on doing the next thing.
Yeah.
We're not going to come out, dare I say it, with a product that doesn't fit our DNA. You're not going to find a product that doesn't have a value around protection. We're very conscious. And we get stories and feedback all the time. We're very conscious of us as a company, the authenticity of the brand. More importantly, I think there's a value here, particularly around the people that develop products here. They understand its use in the field,
mm-hmm.
right?
Sure.
If you're SEAL Team 6 and you're going into an environment, that gun better work when it comes out of the case.
Right.
It's been dropped out of a helicopter. It's dusty, it's rainy, it's windy, whatever. We got to make a case that works in that environment, and it works for that person in that environment. Same if you're, using our stuff when you're, kayaking down the river and you've got your phone and you've got your wallet and it's in a small Pelican case and it falls into the water.
Mm-hmm.
We're as conscious really of its end use as anybody can be. So we're only going to make products that we say work in those environments. And I